the problem is mainstream media, because they're used to paying the photographers, and the photographers give them all the rights. They're not used to giving attribution, right? So many mainstream media like Business Week and all these people use my photographs, but they're not bad people. So I send them a nice email explaining you can use it for free without paying, but you have to give me this link, and here's how you give it. And almost all of them will give it to me. And at least in the United States, almost every month some mainstream media uses one of my photographs and gives me credit for it. And they're realizing that for certain situations, certain people, it's impossible to get a photograph in time, and they're realizing it's a resource, and they're starting to learn the rules. Because at the beginning they just abused the Creative Commons photos because they don't give credit, because they're not used to that. But because I think the amateurs, it's about respect, it's about links, and it's about sharing, whereas mainstream is about worker and employer, right? And I think that the worker-employer is a power relationship where the employee has very little rights. And so, like when I, wrote an article for a big newspaper, they printed the article, and I said, and they sent me a contract, and I said, I'm not going to sign this because I want the right to put it on my blog, But they said, no, you have to sign it. I said, I don't want your money, I don't want your contract, you can use it, here's a Creative Commons license. And they kept sending me the contract for 3 years, And then they finally changed the contract for everyone, and it said, after 1 month, you can use the work in any way you want, but for 1 month, we want the exclusive. And I said, okay, I'll sign that, because it was already a month, But they changed. It took me 3 years of saying no, no, no. So, but I think, some of these guys are old, but they're trainable. So I think we just have to keep working on it.
Yeah, we need to stand our ground and
yes.
and not agree to things like that.
Yeah, don't sign bad licenses. And I think, they need us, and especially the kind of semi-pro, either photographers or journalists who are writing for their blog, but also writing for the journals and newspapers. I mean, if you have the luxury of being in a position to negotiate, you should really negotiate for the ability to license your work under Creative Commons. Because once they understand it, they get, oh, this is good. Maybe we get it for less. Maybe we can get promotion. And then they can add, okay, so like, for instance, it was actually the New York Times. They said, okay, but you have to say that it was first printed in the New York Times. I said, that's fine. That's good. And we had the final contract that they have now for the journalists is great. And so I think that, once they figure out that it works for them, then I think they'll be happy.